The Hecarim isn't as much of a go-to top lane pick anymore for a lot of these players. And then Sivir is still the go-to for almost all of the AD players we've seen. Then the Azir being picked up, of course, with just the Cassiopeia being banned out. Not too surprising. Ace had a good game in the first game of the day with Azir. And XENICS. Also, wait, Maokai wasn't banned out. XENICS prioritized that Gnar. Huh. Well, I guess at this point, you just take the Maokai for top lane on Samsung if you want. Like, there's no loss to that. Ziggs looks like Easyun plays Ziggs. What more could we ask for? Also plays Xerath. Is this Easyun's brother? Oh boy. The Sejuani, not too surprising for the jungle. So, what do you take for the AD carry here? I mean, it all depends on how you want to play at the lane since you have Thresh. You could either go passive with Thresh playing a defensive, or you could take Lucian and go aggressive in lane, which will probably force a lane swap from XENICS, which means what do you take for your top lane? Maokai wouldn't be too bad. You could also take Smite Hecarim. But I think if Maokai's open, why not? Maokai's so tanky, so versatile. So all around, solid lineup for Samsung once again. And we're waiting for a support pickup for XENICS. And Nautilus, all right. TML does seem to prefer supports that have, you know, hard impact with initiates, such as Thresh and Annie, and Nautilus being up in there, of course. So just gonna lock that in. Sivir is on their side, so he could still catch, you know, Lucian off guard or something like that, or even Azir later in the game. But aside from that, Nautilus could also backfire really well. That's always been the case for Nautilus, which is why oftentimes he's not as popular in other lanes and positions, because he's either a you like snowball hard or you lose hard type of champion. So we'll see how it pans out. Samsung versus XENICS kicking off the second best of 3 of the day. Samsung, if they win this best of 3, they re-qualify for Champion Summer 2015. If not, they'll have to wait on the result of XENICS versus Prime. Their fate will be out of their hands for a little bit. And both sides, I'd say right now, like, okay, not too excited because there's a big chance that this game won't be as quick as the other ones that we've seen yesterday and earlier today. Just given that both teams are like cool with farming up and trying to go for just a couple big team fights or whatnot. But it will depend on how aggressive I think the mid laners want to be, because the other ones I think are really straightforward in how they're going to play out their positions. So let's find out. They are loading into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, set number 1 between Samsung and the new XENICS Storm roster. Can XENICS try to fight for a spot in Champion Summer 2015? How will they look against the weakest team from Champion Spring 2015? Let's find out in set number 1 of this best of 3.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
We almost didn't have someone leading the cheer for XENICS, but someone stood up for the cause. Not the same man in the red sweater, though. Just doesn't have the same feel as yesterday. My allergies are also out in full force, and I forgot to bring a pack of tissues. So I might just have to blow my nose on my microphone, and you guys can all deal with my allergies with me. That'd be so gross if you think about it. It would also probably hurt your ears, but aside from that, it'd be really gross. I regret talking about that. 2 heals on the side of XENICS, whereas we do have the cleanse coming in from Ace. I am still tempted to say Clairvoyance sometimes when I see that icon. Although, like, I never confuse the ability. Like, I understand that the ability is still cleanse, but sometimes the word Clairvoyance just wants to pop out. Maybe it's just because I miss Clairvoyance. I miss when the trend was take clairvoyance and clairvoyance at level 1 to see their items. It's like, ha, we know your items now. That was a popular thing back in the day in League of Legends. At least in solo queue. I forget if it was popularized among pro teams. Probably not as much. But clairvoyance in general was pretty popular in professional matches because it was just like mad extra vision. And yeah, nothing too crazy. Just going to take the small creeps next to the blue here for XENICS to try to even out. Samsung took both the Krugs though. So they're just trying to even out an XP by doing that on the side of XENICS because they understand that most likely Samsung will go for the Krugs. QV goes back up top after taking a camp. Hits that level 2 a little bit earlier. And so the earlier level 2 actually coming down for XENICS with their little jungle spiel, but not by much. So Samsung's still going to have the advantage just because they are the aggressors in this matchup. I mean, Nautilus is pretty scary, but Thresh can shove Nautilus back, and at the same time, Lucian's going to simply dish out more damage than Sivir early on. Actually, just in general, Lucian. And Ace has taken a little bit of poke. That Boomerang Blade, oh man, it's actually just charging up. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the tiles that you sometimes see in the top-down Zelda games. They like float up and they start spin and then they start to spin and then they come at you. It also just looks really creepy, but it's probably just our spectator mode. It's actually kind of cool. Otherwise, it's going to be super quiet, which means there's not much for me to talk about. And it's probably going to stay this way for quite some time, actually. This is not what I asked for, solo casting all these best of 3s. I was so happy yesterday because all the games are super action-packed. Regardless of mistakes or not. We had like level 1 fights and everything. Well, not in the jungle, but in lane. Ooh, some... Okay, nope. Not going to happen. Shaft just going to get out of there. Gragas is showing up on the enemy side, and Nautilus is going to get caught. They're actually going to go over the wall with the lantern from lane. TML takes a ton of damage, flashes over into tower range. So they trade the Ignite for the flash. Lots of damage. Yeah, TML going over just to try to put a ward down. I mean, obviously he knew Wraith was missing into the river, but if it was just Wraith, I don't think TML would have been worried. And they did actually see... Yeah, wait, they knew Eve was there too because of the ward being placed. Shaft would have seen that in the jungle. I guess TML just kind of knowing that, or having faith that he could get out. And he did, eventually, with Flash, but... It happened. Uh-oh, the stun hits on Ace. There's a slow. Oh, but the Flash follow through from Shaft picks up the kill. Nice gank from Shaft. Flashing over at the very end of that Arctic Assault and getting that knock up. Very well done. Candy also hitting that stun to kick things off and whittling down Ace throughout the lane phase. Alright, well, I guess the players heard me because we had some action, and now we'll be back for 5 minutes of peace and tranquility here on Summoner's Rift. Except for the minions. The minions will never have peace. It's really sad if you think about it. It's like the ones who fight the most on Summoner's Rift are essentially the minions. The one who gets to have the most peace is probably the Scuttle Crab. Although actually not these days, because everyone's realizing how powerful the Scuttle Crab ward is. So, you know, that doesn't feel too great either. Ace has been having a tough time in lane in general in all these games. Of course, the first game of the day with Azir, he just built back up and he did just fine. And that can still happen in this game too, but if Xerath gets built up too, he can just shut him down from afar. And Candy can also just kind of assassinate someone else on the team of Samsung from afar. So it's going to be dangerous. So Ace really needs to... He basically needs to step it up in lane to the point where he doesn't keep getting caught. And alright, they erase the ward. And 2 members of XENICS here, Sejuani and TML, both ready. If Ace makes even a move towards that pink ward, he's going to die. But TML and Shaft will just back off. They don't want to spend too much time doing nothing. Wards from both teams around Dragon Pit. Meanwhile, Eve is going to show up in bottom lane. They want to try to make something happen again here in bottom. Wraith trying to see what the wards are at. And wow, Cruxley just reading the situation says, all right, let's just back off. They probably know. I don't think we have an entrance here. Meanwhile, that's going to give Eve a chance to clear out these pink wards. And so you can't really use that for mind games anymore here in the mid lane. Both mid laners do have their ultimates. And Eve, is he going to get caught out? Yeah, he's just going to give up on erasing that pink ward, so Shaft will still be able to keep that alive. But for how long is the question. Ace and Candy trading back and forth. Candy getting a little bit of an advantage on that, but Ace, all right, yeah. If he got hit by that, it would have been a little bit dangerous. But not going to happen. Top lane is just going to be pretty quiet through and through. And Ace, yeah, looks like he's just going to be forced to go back home. I mean, both players do have quite a bit of gold stacked up, I'm sure. So Candy will be okay too. Ace coming back with some more mana regen. Candy will probably do the same here. We'll see if given Candy's resources though, and that he has another biscuit and a ward, he's probably cool. Okay, he's going to go back because Eve's here guarding the lane. If not, I wouldn't have been surprised if Candy had some other ways of continuing farming for him to go back and maybe get enough gold for boots or something like that to round out his build, but he's just going to get an extra pink ward. So apparently, funny news is that for whatever reason, the fact that I'm solo casting 2 days in a row hit #1 in search keywords just now in Korea. So people are apparently really interested about my solo cast in English here in Korea. They probably are just really interested in how crazy and tired I am afterwards. Now, top lane is, yeah, there's still nothing to talk about. I'm not even going to bother, even if we look at it. We'll just look at what else is happening somewhere else, and still not much either. I think it's really, again, Candy and Ace. Who wants to be a little bit more aggressive? Who gets more help from their junglers? Now, I mean, the fact that nothing is happening, though, is pretty discouraging for me. Because there's, like, this is how this game is going to go. This is how it's going to be for the next 20 minutes still. I'm pretty confident, unless someone makes a big mistake. Or, like, some crazy play happens in mid. But neither one has Ignite either. So I don't expect to see that either. Kakarot kind of baiting Cuvee. Cuvee gets a lot of damage onto him. So Kakarot probably like, oh shoot. He was trying to freeze the lane at the same time, really. He was trying to bait Cuvee into anything because you don't have Ignite. He will have Mega Gnar, but he doesn't have pots, whereas Cuvee does. So I think Kakarot is just going to have to accept that. He's uh-oh, here comes the ultimate from TML. They do Lantern out and also avoids the double knockup. Wraith blocks the dredge line, and Wraith will just sacrifice himself as Shaft picks up a kill in bottom lane. Shaft with 2 kills now. Meanwhile, mid lane still trading. Candy trying to always win out on the trade zone, and he is health-wise. XENICS, oh wow, a nice knockup and a knockback from Ace and Eve. They get the kill onto Candy. What a play by Ace here, picking things back up. Trying to even out on what they lost out in bottom lane. XENICS will still get the dragon, and hello there, Maokai. Cuvee, the ultimate scout. Yeah, well, yeah, dragon. I mean, Kakarot's not in top lane either since he was bottom, so I guess Cuvee, I mean, he could have shoved the lane in and actually forced Kakarot to miss out another wave, so that would have been really good for Samsung. So a little bit of miscommunication on Cuvee teleporting towards dragon. XENICS picks up that first stack, but nice kill by Ace and Eve are going to even things out here. What a good play using his Sand Soldier here by Ace. goes in for the damage, and then the knockback with Emperor's Divide. Stun coming in from Eve, knockback with Explosive Cast. Just really well executed. And another dive onto Candy. They're done with that, but Cuvée will die to the tower. Kakarot picks that up. Meanwhile, the tower does eventually go down, and Ace instantly putting up his own tower there in the mid lane. And XENICS just going to go ahead and take care of that. This one was really more to secure the retreat from Samsung after taking that mid tier 1. Gnar picking up that tower destruction. And uh-oh, Shaft getting a little bit too eager to check out what's in the enemy jungle, but no more damage follow-up from Samsung, and Eve running a little low on mana is going to allow Shaft to just escape quietly. Ace now well ahead in CS. Has a kill and an assist. And Candy had to just get boots and settle for that. I wonder what Ace will get. I think he should be able to just finish his Morellonomicon the next time he goes back. I think Samsung is feeling pretty good. They are ahead in gold now. See as Azir gets back home on the minimap. Oh, he's just going to go straight for the Nisu Large Rod because he had that much gold. Why not? Oh, and the boots. Wow. Ace is going to start to hurt already by a lot. Meanwhile, Candy Xerath is not going to hurt as much anymore. He's not going to have too many solid targets. Bottom lane's been pretty quiet, other than that one 4-man gank on Wraith. That was more of a sacrifice so that Fury could live, though. And sure, it's a kill is a kill, but the kill went to Sejuani, so it's also not the biggest impact kill that Samsung has given up. And Fury's been farming just fine. In fact, staying just ever so slightly ahead of Lunar. Wraith is just waiting for someone to come closer to that ward, but it'll just get erased from afar by Lunar. Eve here, Shaft here also. Who's going to show up first? Now, I think with the tier 1 pushed in, though, and this ward here, XENICS understands. I mean, I think Shaft was really just there for a defense mechanism. Ace, of course, missing also didn't exactly make things very sneaky. Eve will go ahead and clear that ward. Now, with this tier 1 down, though, I mean, what do you make of this as Samsung? I guess continuing to pressure bottom lane is a pretty good place to start. Really deep wards in the enemy jungle, though, from XENICS. They just saw the ward getting erased in mid. So, generally, they know that they just have to watch out on this bottom side. They know that that's where that Samsung is going to want to focus a lot of their energy and time. So, XENICS just buying time by doing this. Kakarot saying, all right, fine, let's fight. Battle of the Monsters. And Kakarot actually chasing through, putting down a lot of damage. But Cuvée will... Oh, actually, he gets stunned again. This is really dangerous for Cuvée. Oh, he gets the knockback. Kakarot. Oh, can he get the hit? Oh, but he gets snared under the tower, and there's a lifesteal. Both of them will trade 1 for 1. Maokai passive OP as he survives long enough. Shaft getting knocked back. Eve gets drawn in by the dredge line. There is the ultimate combo from Nautilus and Sejuani, though, as Lunar shows up and forces the kill onto Eve. Shaft is pretty low, but he's still alive. He's trying to escape from the ground, but Lunar gets caught out by Ace. Lunar stays alive, though he escapes, and Candy picks up a kill onto Wraith. They can't clean up TML either. XENICS, 3 members living at near death, especially Shaft and Lunar. Living with just a sliver. Ace not able to pick that up for the team. Fury also not able to pick up a kill there. The culling not hitting. I think only about half of those hit on Shaft, unfortunately. Oh, well played by XENICS getting out of that, because if Fury and or Ace picked up like 2 kills there, the game would have severely gone in favor of Samsung. So look at this, Eve coming in to kind of disrupt this blue. He gets a nice explosive cast onto Shaft. There's the combo coming in from Nautilus, and Lunar just gets a quick kill onto Eve. Now Ace from behind tries to go in to make something happen, and he gets a good Emperor's Divide, but all of them eventually flash over, and thanks to the stun from Candy, we do have Sivir just running away, and Candy actually, of course, got that kill right after the stun. So Lunar survives that. 1-0-2 now. And Candy evening things out a little bit for himself too. He's still pretty behind in CS, so we see the difference between the Blasting Wand and the Rod on Ace. And so Samsung now looking for a dive here, but they're going to get pincered. Yeah, you're just going to body slam over the wall there. It's TML and Shaft to show up. But Samsung's still hanging out. They want to kill in this bottom lane. A lot of focus from Samsung in the bottom lane. Kakarot, meanwhile, angry that Cube thinks he can keep dueling him. And Lunar will just scare. I mean, Samsung's trying to bait them with all these wards because Dragon is up. They're basically baiting with Curiosity. How long will that last? So Meganar was just used, not the ultimate itself, though. Both teleports up for both top laners. Or teleports up for both top laners. Dragon's already at half health while we were looking at top lane. So that should just be a quick one for Samsung. But here comes On the Hunt. Dredgeline not going to hit, but there's the ultimate. Wraith will get caught out. He eventually dies as Lunar takes a ton of damage. Ace goes in for the finish along with Cubase. Nice culling, helping whittle the entire team of XENICS down. And 4 members gone from XENICS in a near instant. Well, TML is actually zoned out by Azir's turret there. And Ace still chases through. He gets the ace. Ace with the ace for Samsung as they push forward here in the mid lane. Well played by Samsung at that Dragon. And will they get the tier 2? Looks like they might here. Cannon minion. Lots of damage coming out. And tier 2 also down. Big advantage gain for Samsung at 18 minutes. 4K gold lead. They even out on Dragons. They take the tier 2 in mid. Candy really doesn't have much to do right now. And what will Azir get with all that gold? Probably a death cap. Yep, right there, finished off. There's the pink ward. Now, what can XENICS do? I mean, okay, yeah, they're going to clear that vision, but let's see here. Xerath is pretty weak right now, comparatively speaking, and also his tower's been all pushed in, so he can't just like sit in lane and farm up either. The AD carries are pretty similar, and Super always has that utility, but I mean, with who, right? Okay, Sejuani and Nahus have a lot of CC, and Sivir has okay damage, but Gragas already has a lot of armor. You're not going to just insta-give him. Cuvee, of course, is pretty tanky as Maokai. Yeah, you're not doing too much damage. There's a dredge line, but even then, I mean, that tower is doing, like, way more damage than Lunar is. Lunar got a little too greedy. Shaft, I think it's because they thought they could turn it into a 3v1 pretty quickly, but Shaft got there a little too late for that to happen. Meanwhile, a true 3v1 about to happen in top lane, perhaps. And, yeah, just going to hop away from the death sentence. Candy showing up in top lane. And he's like, oh, shoot, never mind. Big guy on the left. And bottom lane eventually gets shoved in by XENICS, so they got something out of that, but they're still pressuring this tier 2. XENICS needs to, or Samsung still is, so XENICS needs to have an answer for this. Looks like they won't, especially with Meganar running out here in a second. I think Kakarot, yeah, just needs to watch out. Don't want to get caught by the explosive cast. The tier 2 given up to Samsung, and Samsung still maintaining that hard lead. They'll also get the red buff steal. Buff control beginning from Samsung as they start to dominate the entire jungle side of XENICS. So XENICS doesn't really have an answer to this. I mean, yeah, you can try to, like, either you sneak a Baron, you get a really good pick, and then lead it to a Dragon or something like that. But aside from that, I don't really see too many opportunities for XENICS to naturally turn the game around. You need like a big play or a bit of a slip up from Samsung. Ace not not able to dash all the way over to the Nexus, but it's okay. We saw it, but it didn't lose you the team fight, so we'll be okay with that. Ace is 2-1-4 after a little bit of a rough laning phase in the last 2 games, and looks like he's well on his way to continue carrying the game this time around. Didn't get any more items this time, though. Samsung really trying to control vision as much as they can, too, which is making a pretty big difference. Yeah, Candy, I guess, checking out Baron because things were pretty quiet. Now Baron is untouched though, so Xerath's ult is down, which it's like sad because it doesn't matter too much because Xerath isn't super strong right now. So it's cool if you use that for vision. I mean, it'll come back up sooner or later. Pings from both teams near the Baron, which really holds more meaning for Samsung. Shaft trying to look for an angle, but QV is going to spot him. He's going to let Shaft just charge over the wall and run away. And Azir, yep, sets up the turret at the tier 1. Will they go for the Baron or at least bait it? They are all prepared to bait this so hard. I mean, this is so telegraphed as a Baron that XENICS has to check it. Shaft gets death sentence. There's the flash forward for the box by Wraith. Shaft is still getting away though as Azir just zones out the damage from XENICS. Shaft is pretty tanky, so Samsung will take a long time chasing him through. Eventually gets the kill, and they should be able to just go back for a Baron too because Lunar took so much damage from Ace's Azir over that Raptor camp. Samsung going for the Baron. It's going down pretty quickly. Teleport coming in from Kakarot, but it looks like it might be too late. There's Xerath's ult. Hits, I believe, one of them onto Ace, maybe one onto Wraith too, but it doesn't matter as Samsung does get the Baron with the smite, and XENICS way too close as they get caught out. TML dies. Lunar has been caught out a little bit. Oh, they actually turned that into a kill onto Eve though. Samsung got a little too overeager. They're pretty low too. All right, Candy was not able to pick up that kill. And Samsung, yeah, they lost Eve, but they still got the Baron buff. They got another kill for themselves too on TML. And I think they're okay with that. Ace now at 2-1-6, 2-0-4 for Fury on Lucian. Having one of the leader games as an 80 carry. In terms of KDA, I can speak English. Don't worry. That's why I'm on the English cast. And Samsung really now they just need to play the same way they have been for the past 23 minutes, and then they'll be able to win the game. It's one of the, this is one of those just classic leads that you get. It's like, all right, we push down the towers, and we caught up in the dragons. We'll lead in the dragons. We got a quiet Baron after baiting. It's like textbook how to win League of Legends, right? It's like when your team comps are similar, you wait for a lead, win a team fight, take a tower, and then you rinse repeat for every single objective that you take until it comes to a point where you can just take objectives without baiting or team fighting. And that is, I believe, where Samsung is already. They don't need to make those kind of interesting plays to take another objective. They're just ahead on paper. They do have a 6K gold lead. XENICS does have, a decent amount of kills too. It's not a stomp. It's not a stomp by any means, which is why it's not going to be like easy for Samsung, but they can also just play it quietly and win the game. Now, Kive still trying to push up top. The rest of his team is just pushing up bottom. Quite frankly, I think, if you're going to back off after just pushing that one wave, you could have just regrouped earlier, I think. But you'll still get this tier 2 because XENICS cannot defend this, especially without Gnar. I mean, who's going to frontline that? Sejuani can, but not on her own. So tier 2 goes down pretty easily for Samsung. And Maokai now regrouping in mid. Looks like they want to pressure one inhibitor while they have that Baron buff. It's not going to last for too much longer. So after just shoving, they're like, all right, well, top lane actually, all the tier 2s are down, so you can't get like another tower in top lane either. So the Baron buff gonna end before they can take another tower for Samsung. So they took one in bottom lane. And also a dragon during that buff period. Not too bad. Not too shabby at all. Alright. Void Staff now out for Ace. Yeah, at this point, I mean, this is what we've noticed with Azir games. It's like, even if you're behind as Azir, like as long as you're not the one who's been getting caught all the time and dying, like as long as you're not being super targeted, you can just farm up. You can do so much damage from afar. Again, similarly to Xerath, right? It's the same when we saw Xerath as a really popular pick, is that you can just farm up and then you have so much burst. But in some ways, Azir has a lot more utility especially with Emperor's Divide, and therefore Azir being kind of the popular pick these days, and Xerath being phased out for a little while now. And I think Ace is in that point. We saw that with Ezio at MSI against AHQ. Faker also in their game at MSI on the first day. So Samsung looks like they're going to lead this series 1-0 if all things go as planned, and then they'll be well on their way to getting another win and securing their spot in Champions Summer 2015. Looks like if you were a fan of the new lineup of Samsung, or you're just a fan of the team brand, then you can start to be a little bit happy and keep your hopes up. But of course, you never know until the game's over, because we've seen some weird games and weird finishes to League of Legends matches in the past. We've got the Xpekis, we've got the Insects, we've got the CLGs, we've got the Dignitases. We have all sorts of things going on. All right. Samsung continuing to push. They're probably just going to wait until the next Dragon and Baron, unless like XENICS leaves a lane completely open. So Samsung just going to continue to pressure all lanes. They might want to start getting a little bit more vision on the bottom side too. I mean, that much vision is okay, but if you want to be like super safe, I think you can put down a little bit more vision on the bottom side too and secure the Dragon really quick, and then head over to the Baron. You can keep Cube up top too while you do the Dragon, so as to make sure that XENICS doesn't try to counter Baron while you're doing Dragon. Right, yeah, getting a little bit more vision deeper so you can read XENICS' movement exactly as soon as they leave lanes. And wards like that is really going to help as soon as you continue split pushing towards inhibitors, because you can maybe get picks right as XENICS shifts from lane to lane. It's going to force XENICS to move around behind their base walls, which for one wastes a little bit of time, and two means that XENICS is playing super passive. All they can do is clear waves from beyond the wall. There's a Scuttle Crab being taken down bottom. Scuttle Crab already taken up top next to Baron. And Wraith is going home, but that's fine. He's still got 45 seconds until Dragon. Lucian can solo it anyway, as long as there aren't any enemies around. We have Fury waiting to drink up on that elixir as soon as a fight starts. Get that extra lifesteal off of champions, some extra damage. And with all this vision, XENICS cannot try to counter Baron either. They're just trying to get their vision back a little bit. And they got a little bit, but no vision within the pit. So the curiosity is still going to kick in as soon as Samsung starts to disappear from the map. Yeah, given where XENICS is and Lunar running pretty low, looks like Cube going to flash forward. He cannot get the twisted advance onto Lunar. Won't be able to lead that into a kill. Baron is up, and Dragon now up. What's Samsung's choice? They are using Azir's passive once again to keep XENICS at bay, but them committing a little bit to that and that not leading to a kill is a little unfortunate. Using Xerath's ult to check out Baron for a little bit and then trying to get some damage onto Ace. It looks like he did get at least a hit. But yeah, Fury, there we go. During that time, he's going to go ahead and take Dragon, and then they can start being the Baron a little bit again. Kakarot is pushing the bottom lane really hard though, so he can. Yeah, but now he's scared because he has no vision. So if he could continue to pressure that, I mean, XENICS could have bought themselves a little bit more time. But all of Samsung backed off from the mid lane, so XENICS gets a little bit of more vision retained around their red buff. They still have no vision within the pit itself or right at the entrance of it. And because of Eve's positioning, XENICS hasn't really had a chance to continue to go in for that vision. All of Samsung coming back. Azir a little bit far behind, but Fury is back there in the mid lane alongside Wraith. Fury with that last whisper, and there's the Sejuani ult. He actually gets the stun onto Fury. Oh, but the stun not leading in from Xerath. Xerath not connecting the damage. Fury just runs off, and Eve shows up. He goes in for the stun, And he separates everyone as he just zones out Lunar. Eve just charging forward alongside QV. There's a culling onto TML. Nice kill. Kakarot comes in, but Emperor's Divide pushes the Mega Gnar back. Lunar gets caught by QV and Eve. Eve finishes off the kill onto Sivir. Kakarot left all behind by his team as Candy runs away with full health. Shaft at a quarter health. Samsung really wants to get a kill onto the Xerath too, but there's a nice little slow and a stun in reverse order onto the members of Samsung. And don't think that would have, yeah, you needed all 3 hits. Man, it's really close though. 11 health. Wow, that's gonna feel really unfortunate for Candy, but the point is that Samsung wins that team fight and they get the middle inhibitor, and then they can lead that into a Baron. Shaft correctly, or making the correct choice here. Had to run away from the team fight. Might as well shove in the bottom lane before you go home, because you weren't going to defend that inhibitor on your own anyway. But the question is, can he come back in time to contest that Baron? I don't know. QV doesn't have his teleport, so I guess you have that advantage. And your teammates are all in mid lane. So Samsung also going to back off that Baron. And Samsung's okay with that. I mean, they don't need the Baron to win right now. They have a 9k gold lead, 10k gold lead now, with 2 extra dragon stacks. In terms of leveling, they're quite ahead too. Ace at 17, 3 levels ahead of Candy. And you have Fury 3 levels ahead of Lunar too. That is pretty big. That is pretty big. So, like, Candy just, I mean, as soon as you fall behind on Xerath and then your opponent has a similar style where you can just build up and then burst from afar, it's so hard for Candy to have as big of an impact anymore. Especially also because you have Maokai and Gragas who will dive into you if you stay too close or if you don't keep moving. So Candy really has to poke them out before the start begins. But if your poke isn't hurting too much, then that doesn't happen as well. And Samsung, oh, the check does come in from Candy's ultimate though. So Arcane Barrage gonna check that out and stops Fury from doing that Baron. Emperor's Divide is also a big threat against Candy too. So basically Candy has to play scared now because he is behind and his poke isn't as meaningful. Look at the damage from the culling. Candy down to a 3rd health. Yeah, there's just too many threats for Candy to worry about at this point that he can't do like the base damage that Xerath has, given that he's behind on farm a little bit. Doesn't have the Void Staff, whereas Ace has the Void Staff and that DC Large Rod. And here we go, nice stun onto Wraith. Wraith is caught out. Ace does get knocked up by TML. Lunar gets the kill onto Wraith, but look at the damage coming in from Ace Azir. Explosive cast, not able to finish off Lunar, but Lunar has to go home. And so Samsung will just turn right back around onto the Baron. XENICS, will they just throw everything on the line here to try to go for a steal? Shaft puts the ward down. Can Shaft go for the steal? He gets the stun onto QV, but meanwhile Emperor's Divide comes in onto Candy as Fury finishes off that kill. And QV's just like, I can be here all day, guys. Oh, but it's because they're waiting for Eve. They didn't want to whittle it down because Shaft is there. And so Shaft just tries to force the smite battle, but no one's hitting it from Samsung as Shaft eventually goes down. That is... okay. I'm sorry, XENICS, but the game is over when Maokai can literally sit there for 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and be like, I will tank Baron without hitting him a single time until my jungler comes back. That hurts a lot. Fury 6-0-5, by the way, at this point. 3-1-10 Ace. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you do poorly at levels 1 through 3, because you will, you can just carry late game. It's cool. And they're going to charge forward onto Kakarot. They're not going to find anything there, but they do have the Baron buff, so Samsung looking to get another inhibitor and or finish the game here. Oh, look at that, Banner of Command onto that supercharged cannon minion. It's like super duper charged now. And Lunar trying to go in, but just gets shut down by QV and Ace and Eve. And that is a game, ladies and gentlemen. Samsung will be able to clean up this fight. Doesn't matter if Ace got stunned because Fury is still alive and well. Charge forward with damage on the TML. QV got a little too excited, but Fury's cleaning the base on XENICS' side of the map. And Samsung will lead this match once again 1-0. Samsung is now one single game away from securing their spot in Champion Summer 2015 here at OGN in Korea. A lot of people actually had some skepticism about Samsung. They're like, well, I don't know. They had some sparks during the regular season, but